Today, we're putting new LED lights on the trailer. Welcome back to the mini workbench. Well, we've loaded the parts cannon and got ourselves some LED lights for the trailer. Now this is the old classic wooden trailer. We haven't been happy with the wiring on the trailer, so I'm going to run new cable. This is a 5-core trailer cable, so made up for the purpose. Some wiring diagrams, nice LED lamps, not the top of the range, but just a good solid set. It does say these are marine standard. Includes heat shrink, adhesive lined heat shrink to waterproof the connection. I'm not going to be backing the old wooden trailer into the lake, but that's good. I think this is, a reasonably good quality. Looks like it's got a length of cable there. I'm wondering if that cable will reach all the way to the center of the trailer and just run this to the center. And then I've got to tap off with the number plate light. So there's a few things to think about in setting up for this, but there we go. We're going to move forward with a little bit of work on the trailer and rewire and relight the trailer. I've started to open the box. I actually found a new technique for opening these types of packets with these sort of heat sealed edges, and where I just cut like this with a pair of scissors. So much better than using knives. So knives you can slip and rip your hand, cut yourself, all that sort of stuff. So anyway, I've done that around a few sections, so I just thought I'd share that technique. Let's get these out. Now, one thing I do note is that the Australian design rule, in fact we'll talk about it in a second, but the Australian design rule says to put the indicator at the top and the brake at the bottom. So that's the way they're packaged here. I've seen people mount them this way around, but the indicator at the top is the way we're going to do it, as long as we remember. But we have some instructions here. Included with each light is a little bag full of bits, and we get 2 stainless steel mounting screws, 2 little covers to go in the screw holes once we're finished, and a piece of heat shrink and some instructions. So the instructions indicate that these instructions: orientation, rearward facing and amber section at the top. Australian design rule number 13/00, mounting diagram for lamps with the center line, so that's the number plates, wiring and connect them together. Template, so that's 45 apart, so it must be a 90mm spacing between the holes, so that's handy. I've already got a center hole and 2 mounting holes already on the plate. In fact, we'll do a quick overview of the product and then we'll go out and have a look at the trailer. So what have they done here? Oh, I see, the cable's just a pigtail in a sense hanging off here. It's just cable tied up, each of the colors there according to the wiring diagram. Nice piece of neoprene here for sealing, so if you snug those up, that would seal up quite nicely. And then that pokes out the back, and that little run is 0.5 of a metre, only half a metre, so that's enough to get in under the trailer in my case. So that's the product. They're nice and sturdy. I'm actually quite impressed. I'm a bit disappointed I didn't go this route in the first place. Well, let's head out and have a look at the old lights on the trailer. Well, here's the connection to the car, and we see that's on quite a long cable, so I need to remember that length. There's some good protection with this sheathing, and then it runs under the angle iron at the frame and heads out under the trailer. And if I reach down underneath with the camera and look up, we can see that cable running towards the back. Let's go down the back and have a look. Okay, now looking from the rear, we see that cable coming up to this junction point and bundles going off to either side. Probably that bundle comes out to the number plate, and it's inside some sort of plastic tubing. Now some of that's okay, but some of it's really deteriorated with the weather, so I need to think about how to replace that. The lights themselves comes out of the trailer to these brackets, and these are light packs that I put on there a little while ago, but they're pretty terrible. They're just the connectors that hold the bulbs are just terrible, and this is the effect that we'll have on this trailer. So this is where we replace those. I'll need to drill new mounting holes a little bit wider out. Looks like that center hole might not be in the center, so we might have to change the location of that hole a little, but we'll see how we go. Well, here we are looking at the mounts for the lights. I've taken these off the trailer obviously, and I've actually marked out and re-drilled these centre holes. Now you notice how the offsets for the original holes are the same here, but when you actually turn them around and put them on the trailer, this one's close to sort of centre, but this one's way out here. And it meant that the lights would have been offset because these have the thing in the middle, the cable coming out the middle. So I had to shift that to a common point. So we now have that the same distance from here, which puts the lights in the same position. What I think I'll do with this is give these a bit of a clean up. Now they're off the trailer, I may as well clean them up, give them a bit of paint. In the meantime, let's undo these cables. We've got a couple of considerations here. I could put these cables, run these down the original plastic tube. I don't like the look of that. I think what I'll do, and I don't want these out in the weather. I mean, they say they're marine and they're probably meant to go outdoors, but I think what I'll do is just put some heat shrink over the top. So the length of heat shrink that'll go 3/4 of the way down here. So let's see if we can feed that through and shrink it on. Feels like it's going on. It's getting a bit stiffer towards the end. What's happened? Oh, I see the cables are curled over. That's okay, we'll get that fed on. There we go. Let's get that right in there. That crease out of there. Let's run that right in as far as we can. And just heat shrink that on with the ancient Black & Decker heat gun. Is there a reason why that's not on? Oh, you've got to hold the trigger. Let's put on warm. This can get pretty hot, so just be careful. Starting to shrink. Might use the warmer temperature, a bit more light. First thing to do is cut this cable to length. Now I've snipped around the outside of this, so we've got it open. We need to preserve our wiring diagram. We've got the round 7-pin plug. So there's our colour diagram. I've got some terminal blocks. So what I'll do is I'll run it all back. I'll run this 5-core back from the plug all the way back. This is a non-brake trailer, and we don't have a reversing signal either. So, so instead of 7, we've got 5 wires on the 7-pin plug. This will come back to the rear of the trailer, probably on one side where I can connect one side of this, and I'll have a little junction box to cover this, which I don't have right at the moment, but I'll sort that out. So I'll terminate this at the block. So I need 5 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll cut that off so we have a little terminal block. And then I'll run everything out of this. So one side lights, the other side lights, and also the tail light, number plate light, I mean. So they've got to sit in the correct places, but we'll use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to make it all logical. I'll cut this first for the length that I need coming from the front of the trailer to the back, and then what I've got left over I'll use for the additional wiring. If I run out of cable, I can always revert back to the original cable that's on the trailer at the moment. Use some of that original material, because the stuff that's actually underneath the trailer is perfectly fine. As you know, if I have to run, for example, the tail light, the number plate light loop with that old cable. All right, so we've got a little bit of untangling to do here, and then we'll just go and measure this up and cut it to length. Have I got one end that's terminated? No, they're all just loose. All right, cool. Let's go and sort that out. Let's have a look at this old connector, which I'm going to reuse. I've prepared the cable to go on this end, which is lying down here on the floor. Basically what I've done is I've taken a section of this plastic, put it over the top of the cable, and then put a sheathing over it. So this is the bit that goes out to the front of the car. I just want that really well protected. So that'll connect onto this. So that's really what I'm preparing first. Let's plug that in there just so it doesn't fall off again. Cable boot is fairly tight. I've got to actually get that over that, which is going to be fun, but I will heat shrink on, so we'll just see how we go. So this is the previous material that was protecting the cable. And these are screwed on, so I'm going to have to tin the ends of the cable here. So we'll get the soldering iron out and we'll tin the ends of the cable, strip and tin. And then we'll worry about all the sheathing and heat shrinking and whatnot as we go. So what I've done here is I've put a piece of heat shrink over the top. It took me a little bit to squeeze this on because that diameter is smaller than the thickness of this, but if you squeeze it down, it'll slide. So I'm going to just tie a cable tie off here, pinch this down as much as I can to just give the edge of that heat shrink just a little bit of a spot to shrink down into, so that when I pull this back across, there'll be a narrow point. And then I'll be able to pull that closer to the connector. Yeah, that should sit about there. So that's good, that's going to work out well. Let's heat shrink that down. basically that's there just to, it's not meant to seal that, it's just meant to stop the braid from fraying. So I'll wait till that to cool down, and then I'll release this tension, and hopefully we'll get a narrow point there that allows me to slide that back more easily. In the meantime, let's open up these cables. In the meantime, let's open up these cables by just cutting the sheath off without cutting the cable itself. I wonder if the sheath will tear. Some of them do, some of them don't. These aren't the best pliers for this job. Okay, we've got that open just a little bit. That will tear, that's good. Tear that down as far as we need to, which is probably that far. Just snip those off. And we just need to strip these back a little bit, and then I'll tin them, and then we can put them back onto this connector. So let's just strip these wires back a little bit. We don't need to go too far. Quite long enough for that one. Okay, now we'll just twist those up, and then we'll tin those with the soldering iron. Just waiting for that to warm up. It's preparing a few steps at once here, but first let's chop this off to see whether this theory worked. Should now be able to slide down here and onto there, and that should give us enough length. That's looking pretty good. Might even be able to slide that out just a little bit further, but I won't do that just yet. Well, let's tin these up first. I can throw out. And believe me, that's brown. So let's put the brown in the middle, because it says brown, rear lamps and marker lights. So one marker light is our number plate light. Tighten this up. Firm. Next one is, we need to know the pin numbers, and I may need to change glasses to read those pin numbers first. So the middle one was easy. We're going to need the iron in a minute. Quick change of glasses. and we see that number 1 is here. And it says L, left-hand turn. And according to this colour code, number 1 is yellow. So let's get yellow in there. And tighten him down. Okay. Now he's on the top. Now directly down the bottom is green, which is the right-hand turn, which should be number 4. So the cable will tangle if we run it through there. So let's get the red out and put the green through the middle. It goes straight down number 4, which has an R on it, which is great. Okay, the next one. Red is stop lamps, and that's in number 6. So 4, 5, 6, and 6. 5, 6. Six is next to 1. This is for a plug, that's a plug. What have we got? We've only got white to go. And white is the earth. And the earth is in number 3. 2, 3. Okay, so that's that end nicely wired up. Let's take that out of there just for a sec. How warm is that? Not too warm. Just feed that on just a little bit further. That's good. Now there is a particular way this goes in here. There's a notch. That notch is over here. So that notch in there hits that spot there. So let's get that correct before we put the other side on. In fact, let's take that off. Put that in there. Get our notch correct orientation. Get that disc in first, into the notch, rotate it into the notch. Okay, that's good. Let's get this sheath on, first part of that on. That's good. Now we can close the door. Now we can turn to putting that strain relief on there. This strain relief cable, bridge, loop, thingo. And that's Phillips. Where do I put my Phillips? Here it is. I've done that trick before. Stuck it in there and then forgotten I did that. So we'll get this starting to screw down. Hasn't made it yet to the metal threads. Okay, there's a start on that side. And we'll get a start on this side. Being careful not to touch the hot soldering iron that's under my hands. Alrighty, here we go. Now this will give me the strain relief component aspect to it. I do need to screw this down fairly tightly. I know it's wobbling around while you're watching. It's almost in. This side can go down. Nice and firm. next trick is to get that into there. Should go in fairly easily. Almost there. Nice. Nice. That even looks good. Professional job. Let's get these screws in before we lose them. Okay, there we have it. I'm very happy with that. Very happy with that. That will plug in nicely and that'll protect it. I've still got a little bit of that curly stuff which I probably will put over the bit, particularly a bit where it could drag down. But that's that part of the cable done. Now I've got a section here to prevent that from fraying. So that's just that section that extends out. So to prevent that from fraying, we'll put a bit of heat shrink on the end there. So, and then I've got a length of that just because I've got more of it, and then the cable that runs down to the end of the trailer. And we need to tin these so that we can mount them into the block. But I need enough length to reach the whole width, so I'll cut these down to about this length. Being careful not to nick the cables, just the outside sheath. Once you've got that far, yeah, look at that, being careful not to nick the cables. See, I nicked that white one, which is our ground, but I'm going to strip that off anyway. Depending on where the ground goes, ground's number 3. So we'll use the same numbering, so that'll be the point at which I strip that off with the wire strippers. Sorry, missed it. It's that one. Now that's going to be probably too long, but what I might do is fold these over and tin them in a loop like that. See how that works. Okay, some background noise. Good. That won't fray. Right, good. That's our cable that goes to the front of the trailer, all the way down to the back. All set. We possibly should test the continuity on each of those, so let's do that now. Conscious that that's a hot soldering iron, so we'll just put that safely in the vise. Okay, continuity meter. So we've got all the way down to the beeping one, diode check and continuity tester. One should be pin 1. Now where's pin 1 in this orientation? I think that says 5 there. Well, we'll start with the one in the centre. We know that that's the brown. That's good, and there's no contact with all the others. So let's find pin 1. So pin 1 is going to be either this one. Let's assume that it's this one near that notch. Bad assumption. It's green, so green is pin 4. 4. 3, 2, 1. The one opposite, I guess. Pin 1. No double wiring. 1, 4, we know 4 works. We've got red here, I think. No, red should be over there. Yes. And red's over there. Are we looking at the socket? I could have these around the wrong way. That would be a pill. In fact, I think I have, because I'm looking at the wrong end. Although that should be called 2. I might need to undo that and check that. I might have this around the wrong way. So that indicator and green is the right indicator, so we know that. That's correct. And what's 6? 6 is the stop lamp. 6 is a stop lamp, which is red. Yeah, that's interesting. Is that the rear or the front? That's interesting. I'm going to have to research this. Okay, we've found the issue here. So these diagrams, 7-pin plug socket asterisk. Asterisk down here. Cable entry view, so that's from the back. So from the back, that's pin 2, and that's reversing signal, and that wasn't used, so that's stopped. So that's correct. Okay, good. From the back, service brakes we don't need. 4 is the right hand. We've tested that. 3 is the earth return. 3, where's 3? 3 is over here. That's the earth. And the earth is white. So do we have that wrong? Oh no, I was looking at the wrong one. 3, yeah, okay, that's correct, because it goes that way. Where's the other indicator? The other indicator is, oh, the yellow, we've already tested that. And 7, we already know that, so that's good. We've checked them all. All right, happy with that. That checks out. This is the cable run that goes across the trailer from the left-hand indicator, left-hand side light, looking forward. So we've got 4 cables here, and if we look at the color coding, all the colours are the same except for the indicator. The indicator's green coming out of these 4. There's no left, right, because there's one. So it's green. So the other one here doesn't have a yellow, it has both green. So green is indicator. Now on this left hand side, if we look at this colour coding, green is right hand turn, yellow is left hand turn. So I've got to come from the yellow, from the cable, from the trailer loom, out of the yellow and into the indicator. So left hand indicator, just happens to be a yellow wire. All the others are the same. The green is snipped off. And before I heat, I've put clear heat shrink on those, you can only just see it. Before I shrink this on, I will test it all. But that'll heat shrink on there. Actually, I'm really confident. I'm going to go for it. Let's heat shrink that on. Black & Decker HG992 antique. All right, so that's that cable all set up and ready to go. Well, I need to say almost ready to go. So we've got the light, we need to thread that through the trailer. We haven't yet tinned all these, but these will end up going into the terminal block that we produced before. So we need to strip this back and tin those, but I'll do that off camera for the sake of your boredom. All right, excellent, moving forward. Here's a little view of the completed, cleaned up, tidied up bracket mounting. Heat shrink over the cable, in through the same hole that was already there. Very neat little installation. Very happy so far. I've got a little bit of wiring up to do underneath and with the terminal block, and I just need to do some checks on the tail light, number plate light before I actually finish that wiring up. And hopefully I'll be able to put everything inside this little conduit box and just tuck that up under there. So that's the plan for the wiring. And around the front, I've fitted the front end of the cable neatly using the clips that were already here. This is just tucked in up under the frame as it goes through there. But that's our replacement cable with the sheathing and enough length on the front to get to the car. I'll tuck that under there because that just keeps it out of the weather. And here's a view of the opposite side. They repainted and remounted tail light. Very happy.